It's that time of the week again. You're welcome. Our picks are in. Dean Leggy, Matt DeBerry, Ryan Curley. We're going to give you these can't miss picks of the week. We're going to start with Matt DeBerry. Michigan is a 4-point favorite on the road against Penn State. Matt, what you got in this game?
Yeah, I like Michigan in this game. I think for weeks and weeks and weeks they've been playing, pretty cupcake opponents, right? I think they're going to be ready for this one. Just don't believe in Penn State in these big games. I'm not sure that quarterback is going to be able to play really well against this Michigan defense. I just think they're a better team. I think they'll go on the road. Noon game, right?
Yep.
I mean, if it's at night, maybe I think Penn State could be able to pull something out. But Ryan, I like Michigan to cover in this one.
Yeah, Michigan's defense, despite not playing a tough schedule, is only allowing 5, 6 points per game. That's a pretty elite clip. I don't think Penn State has a lot of juice on offense, despite them putting up 50-ish points last week. So I think they're going to struggle. I think the noon game doesn't help. If it was at their night whiteout, crazy environment, maybe it's a little bit different, and Michigan kind of gets a slap in the face to kick off their real season. But I think 4 points is easy enough for the Wolverines to handle.
I'm going to take Michigan because I think this line has gotten knocked down just a little bit too far for me. I think if it were at 6, I might have taken Penn State, but it's not at 6. It's where it's at, and that's just all there is to it. What happens, Matt, very quickly? What happens if Michigan loses this game? I mean, like, where do we go from there?
You're getting chaos, especially in that conference. Ohio State has to be feeling pretty good at that point, and maybe Penn State is back in the mix.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right. All right, Ryan. Kentucky is going to host Alabama on ESPN at noon. The Wildcats are an 11-point home dog to the Tide.
Yeah, I'll go Bama. I'll go Bama. They're in a good spot right now. Things are it was rolling a stretch. Things are going better and better for the Tide, and I think Kentucky. Look, they're an all right team, not a great team. Georgia slapped them around a few weeks ago, but Alabama going up there, winning by a couple touchdowns, that seems pretty realistic.
I think this could be kind of a sleepwalk game for Alabama on the road up there. Wouldn't surprise me if this one is kind of close. Kentucky hangs in there. Kind of want to pick the Cats. I could see them losing by just 10, but I think at the end, Alabama will roll in the second half and cover this game, but maybe a little closer than people think, Dean.
Yeah, I actually will take the Cats because of that extra point. I don't think there's any scenario where Kentucky wins this game, but I think that Alabama coming off of LSU, going to Commonwealth, I don't think Kentucky can execute enough during an entire game to beat Alabama. But Bama, this will be a physically challenging game for Alabama as they get ready for the rest of their season, which doesn't include a lot, to be honest with you, but it does include that game. I'll take the Cats and the 11 points. Miami, Ryan, is a 14-point home favorite over their friends from Miami. It's going to be a 3:30 ABC game.
Who'd you say?
So Ryan's having
I missed
some
I missed
issues
the
here and
first part.
there. Miami is traveling to Florida State. Miami is a 14-point dog at Florida State.
I'll take Florida State with a lot of hesitance. With a lot of
Clearly.
hesitance. Just you got to make a statement if you're Florida State, man. There's some people that think you're the best team in the country. The committee's got you at 4. This is an opportunity. Every week's an opportunity because the schedule's not super tough for them. I'll go Florida State at home.
Yeah, rivalry game. Give me Miami to keep this one close. This could be that part of the year where Florida State, doesn't play their best and they come out with an ugly type of win against a Miami team with a lot of talent. I think this one, again, could be closer than a lot of people think. Rivalry game. I missed this one, Dean. This is a big one that just hasn't been there recently. I think this could be a really fun game. I'm going to take Miami to cover on the road.
Yeah, when the Florida schools aren't great, you miss the complete debauchery that goes with the warm-ups and the beginning of these games where everybody's fighting and throwing helmets. It's not there anymore. I'm going to take Miami too, and here's the reason why. Florida State doesn't play complete games. And, when you're giving me 14 points, even to Miami, I'm probably going to go ahead and take them. So in this case, I will. Utah is going to travel to UW over the weekend. Washington is a 9.5-point favorite at home. They're playing that game at 3:30, which out there will be 12:30. It's an early kickoff for Washington hosting Utah. Matt, that's where the Huskies are a 9-point favorite.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. And I'm hearing these for the first time, and I think Ryan is too. So we got to think about it a little bit. I don't like the way Utah played against Oregon. Oregon went down there and waxed them. I think they're having a little bit of trouble. I'm going to take Washington. That's a lot of points, but I'll take the Huskies at home, right? That
They
is
are
at
at
home.
home.
Yeah, I think Utah's falling apart a little bit. Give me Washington.
Yeah, I think last week was a bounce back for Washington's offense, which is why they're in the position that they're in. And I think Utah just can't keep up with them scoring wise. And they have a solid defense, but in Seattle or wherever exactly that school is, I think it's in straight up Seattle, right?
It is downtown Seattle. Yeah.
It's a straight up Seattle. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was like just south or something, but I think the Washington's offense, if clicking, no question, they'll cover what, 9.5?
It's a 9.5 point line. That's correct. And it is right downtown on the water. If you've never been to Seattle before, it's one of the nicest, I mean, it is beautiful American cities. And Husky Stadium, or whatever it's called now, is right on the lake. It's really a killer environment. It's one of the two places, including Tennessee, where you can boat to the game. Speaking of which, the Vols head to Missouri to play the Tigers, who are pretty solid these days. However, all that said, Tennessee is a 2-point favorite at Missouri. So that is a curious line for me. I'm going to take. I'm going to take Missouri. I don't. It's a tough one, but I'll take the 2 points at home, Matt.
Give me Tennessee. I think Tennessee's playing a little bit better week by week. I think a tough physical game against Georgia last week maybe deflated Missouri a little bit. What time is
it's a 3:30 CBS. It was the curious pick of the weekend.
Yeah. I think Tennessee's just a smidge better. So I think they can win this game on the road by a field goal. Maybe they're overlooking Missouri, but I don't think so, Ryan.
Yeah, I just the home field advantage kind of is where I just tip the cap to Missouri here with a small line like that. I think these teams are very similar. I think Tennessee's playing a little bit better than it did earlier in the year. But look, I think you have to give Missouri credit. Played well against Georgia, just didn't play well enough for 4 quarters to beat Georgia, and that's what you have to do. But I think I'll take Missouri to cover.
I just want to flash back and say that Florida beat Tennessee, or this would be a very different week for the Vols. I mean, you don't want to make those kinds of mistakes. We've got 3 games left here, and because of the illness I've gotten over the week, I've not been able to look forward the same way that I do. We're going to go with the Gators and LSU. This used to be a great game too. I'm not sure we can say that right now as it slips on down to the SEC network. Florida is going to be a 14-point dog, Ryan, at Death Valley. That's a lot of points. Florida can't seem to do anything right, though.
Yeah, it's a big line because LSU can score. What's the status of Jaden Daniels?
I'm not sure I know. I've been vomiting all week.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Glad to hear.
I'll go with LSU just because they can put up the points, but I'm changing it on the site. If I find out about Jaden Daniels, maybe I might change that.
I'm gonna go with the Tigers. Tigers at home. Florida needs a bounce back win, but they're not gonna have a bounce back in Death Valley against LSU. That defense is not gonna magically come together and stop that LSU offense. I think LSU rolls. They don't like each other. And I think if LSU has a chance to rub their face in it a little bit, which they should, I think they will. Big win for the Tigers.
Yeah, so I will take LSU as well. I just think they're the better team. And by 2 touchdowns, Florida is in very serious danger of straight up collapsing. I mean, they obviously got blown out by Georgia. If they don't come back against South Carolina the week before, this could be a very ugly end of the season for Billy Napier and crew. The last game before before the Georgia game, I'm a little bit kind of jumping around here. There's not a lot of great games, so I will go Michigan State at Ohio State, or as a lot of people that I know call it Ohio, which is not what it is, but okay. Um, Ohio State's a 31.5 point favorite at home against Michigan State. I will actually take Ohio State just because. You know what? I am not going to do that. I'm going to take Michigan State. That's just a little bit too much. I know Michigan State's really bad right now, but Ohio State can't seem to play a consistent game, Matt.
What's the line again? I missed it.
31.5.
It's an odd number. I'm going to take Michigan State too, just for the fun. Just for the fun. I want a closer game than that. Come on, I'm pulling for a good game. Let's go Sparty. Let's go Sparty, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm taking Michigan State just because I don't trust Ohio State to win by that much. I know it's a bad Michigan State team, but I just haven't seen that explosion from Ohio State's offense to where I trust them to win by more than 4 touchdowns. So
yeah, I agree.
I'll go for it.
You said it better than I would or did. Georgia is a 10-point favorite, 10.5-point favorite, I should say. That's not a number that's just like, there's no way they lose. But the Rebels come into this thing as the number 10 team in the country for the. Is that wrong? Do I have them? Yeah, they are. They're number 10 in the AP poll, which is what we use because it doesn't change. They're number 9 in the college football playoff. Ole Miss is a 10.5 point dog on the road at Sanford Stadium against the Dogs. Your commentary and pick on this game, Ryan.
Yeah, I think Georgia kind of barely covers this. Maybe not barely. I think Georgia covers this line because I think 2 touchdowns ish is about right. This environment is going to be up there. I think we're going to see a Sanford Stadium crowd that's maybe it's not quite Tennessee, maybe it's not quite Arkansas 21, but it's going to be close when you factor in everything that's going to happen this weekend with game day, the night kick. People seem to be excited that Ole Miss is coming to town, even though recently that hasn't been any sort of rivalry. But I think it's going to be a really, really big day in Athens. Last game of the season, maybe Bowers gets out there for a few plays or something like that. We'll see if that happens. That would be another crowd eruption. I think momentum will be in Georgia's favor on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm thinking 35-24. I think Ole Miss will be able to move the ball and score a couple touchdowns at least, but they're not the same team they are on the road as home. They've only played like 3 true road games, and one of them was at Tulane. Can't really count that, and if you're talking about big environments, but had a lot of time scoring, moving the football against Alabama, Tuscaloosa. Didn't look great at Auburn, but that's a tough place to play. Give them credit for winning, but it didn't look all that great. They're bad on third down. They're one of the worst teams in the country on third down on offense. And like Ryan said, if this crowd is at their A game, they can really make an impact on this game. I think for 4 quarters, I just don't see them hanging with Georgia until the end. I think Georgia wants to come out and play really well before going up to Tennessee. I think they'll cover, but by a little bit. Close game until the third quarter, fourth quarter, where we've seen this team really take off and play some of their best football, Dean.
Yeah, so I was actually going to take Ole Miss until this line dropped. And I think that I think it's just a bit too low. And I think that Georgia is a lot to handle right now. I'm just going to say that. And Ole Miss, as you correctly talked about, this would have to be one of their best road games in a long time, actually. They have had top 10 wins. They've never beaten the number 1 team in the country under Lane. They've had top 10 wins. They've had big wins. The win over LSU earlier this year was a big win, but that was in Oxford, and I think that it's hard to beat Georgia and Sanford. We've seen that. Lane was talking about that this week. So I'll take the Dogs. 10.5 is probably about right. But we'll see. They certainly could step on Ole Miss and really end them. But I do think that at least I didn't throw up that time. I think that you could see a situation where Georgia could be just way too much for Ole Miss. I'm not sure I see that coming up this time. This is a pretty good Ole Miss team. They stand the possibility of being ranked top 10 at the end of the season. We'll just have to see. And I also don't think it's out of the question that they win this game. I think that Georgia's got to play well. And they have played well lately, but like no turnovers and stuff like that. If you do that, Georgia will win this game and they'll cover. But I think they need the crowd, and they didn't really have the crowd that they needed last week. We'll see you on the website. Thanks for watching.